Adam Schwartz was 10 years old when he first contemplated suicide. He spent more than a third of his life battling depression. He missed years of school, was violent to himself and others. He was hospitalised a number of times, trialled countless drug regimes, and finally had electric shock therapy. In a remarkable example of resilience, he's still with us today and he's well. He's written a book, Mum, I Wish I Was Dead, to help raise awareness of depression and to give hope to both carers and sufferers. I wanted to know more about his path to wellness, so please understand this story deals with suicide and depression and may be distressing for some viewers. If you think you may be experiencing depression or another mental health problem, please contact your general practitioner or, in Australia, contact Lifeline on 131114 or Beyond Blue 1300 22 46 36. Adam, I read your book, Mum, I Wish I Was Dead. Harrowing straight from the title. I think the thing that surprised me the most was how unexpected it was, because you grew up in a very loving family, in a very affluent family, and yet at 10 years old, you had some of the darkest thoughts I've ever heard in my life. Tell me a little bit about that.
For me, mental illness is one of these things that affects everyone. And I had to learn that, I had to accept that. And when I was 10 years old, Mum reminded me that I said to her one day, my heart is black, my body is full of anger, and I wish I was dead. At 10 years old.
10.
At 10, and I was too young to understand the severity of what I was saying, but those are the words that came out. That's why I used colour, because that's what I thought. There was nothing. There was no light. There was no hope. It was black. And from 10, over the years, it got worse and it got better, and I got back to school, and then it reared its head again when I was 15.
So the trouble is, though, no one would diagnose you with depression at 10 because they wouldn't be looking for anything like that. So was it hard for you going to school? Were you being bullied? Like, what was happening?
It was very hard. School can be hard at the best of times for teenagers, and it was hard because I was always good at school. I had friends, I was relatively smart, I got along with the teachers. School was fun, I know, surprisingly. But it got really hard because, I lost a lot of friends. Not because they knew I had depression, because of what depression turned me into. And I'd wear the mask, that, everything's okay mask, put on the happy face. For those years, every single smile, every single laugh was for someone else. It was because that's what I was meant to do. That's what I thought I had to do. Not just to protect me, but to protect the people around me from seeing how horrible I felt. And I struggled. It drained the life out of me. Leaving the house, having to face people, having to appear, like I'm just like everyone else. Because as a teenager, that's what I wanted. I wanted to fit in. But when that energy went, you mentioned bullying, and I was bullied. And bullying happens, unfortunately, everywhere. And I remember I was suicidal, and it took enough energy and enough hope for me to not act on those thoughts, that when it made the hard days even harder. When I found reasons to not kill myself, the bullying gave me every reason to. And I hid it well. I hid it as best I could. But some of those days, I'd snap. My energy level was depleted and the mask would come off.
The mask, though, I think was probably suffocating you as well.
I didn't know what else to do. It seemed like I was the only person going through this because no one spoke about it. I knew no one. I didn't understand, even at that time, what the word depression was or what suicide was. I just had these thoughts. It was my own naivety back then, almost over a decade ago. I didn't have these words. I didn't have this understanding because it wasn't spoken about.
One thing that your mum did was she got you into some art therapy. Now, is that a way of expressing yourself? If you're having all of these dark thoughts and you don't know how to verbalise them, Can you put them out another way?
Art for me was a big relief. And at the time, I didn't even know it. You know, Mum did a lot of things that I didn't know that really kept me going. And one of them was art. You know, we were lucky to find our friend who helped me through this, and we'd sit down. It was sort of my first experience with a therapist without me even knowing it.
In a very gentle way.
In the most gentlest way. You know, in my book, there's something I actually wrote when I was, I think, 11 years old. It was library week or something at primary school, and you had to write a book. And my art teacher thought, yep, this is a good idea. Let's do this. And these, my words, my diagrams, my drawings, and it's called A Very Hateful Giant.
A very hateful giant.
And that's how I felt. And it's interesting looking back, knowing how bad I was, without having the words to explain it. Everything was in that book. I felt like there was just this happy switch that was turned off and someone had to jump inside of me and turn it back on. That's what it felt like. Because everyone around me seemed happy, but why was I wanting to die? And it was, as time went on, my mum and my art teacher could determine my mood based on the colours I'd use. You know, when I was bad, it was black and dark and red. When I was happy, there were lots of white, there was blue.
That's how much your world changed.
It changed.
Something pretty shocking happened when you were 12. Instead of it just being a mental thing, you got a physical reaction.
Yes, that's what I've had to realise, is that my mind, if I don't acknowledge it, how bad it is, it starts attacking my body. When I had started my new high school at the age of 12, left primary school, new high school, I was so miserable. And I hated every day. There wasn't a good day at this school for so many reasons. It originally started off with I lost my voice, and then I got several really bad bouts of tonsillitis. I couldn't speak, my throat was in agony. And when I was still going to school, still made to keep going to school, I actually lost the ability to walk. It was as if you were touching a baby, really softly, gently. If you touched my legs, it felt like you were hitting it with a hammer. I was in complete agony and I couldn't walk. And I was admitted to major Sydney Children's Hospital, and I was under a team of doctors, not just one doctor, a team of doctors, and I was treated as a physical symptom and to get out and back to school. So for 6 weeks to 2 months, I was doing rehabilitation, pretty much learning how to walk again. That's what I was doing. Whenever I get sick, it'd really be tonsillitis kind of stuff. I never was able to verbalize how I felt. And when I was still made to go to school, my body said, what are we going to do to stop you from going? And it took away my ability to get there.
Take me back to the night where you decided to run away from home.
One night, we were sitting around at dinner. I don't remember what was said, but something was said by my brother, my dad, my mum, I'm not sure. And I slammed my fist on the table, swore a whole bunch of profanities at my family, and I stormed out and I ran away. Really, like later that night, I left and I thought everyone was asleep. Luckily, they heard me leave because I ran away to the park around the corner and they found me. My mum and my dad, they found me. They found me lying on the gym equipment on a cold night, looking up at the stars, tears just rolling down my cheeks. And they said frantically, what's wrong? What's happening? Tell me, what can they do to help? And for the first time since I was probably 10, I verbalized to my mum and I said, Mum, I hate my life. I wish I was dead. And that changed everything because I was a bit older now and I actually understood what that meant. I understood the severity of what those words
So what were you, about 15?
I was 15. I would have just turned 15. It didn't just start off one day I was happy, the next day I was suicidal. You start off with negative self-talk, the bullying, things picking at you, and it builds up and it builds up. It's almost when you think it was always you, that you don't remember anything different until one day you wake up and you want to die.
But that was the night that you got help and that led to you being diagnosed, correct?
Yes. So how that worked, the next day we went to my GP and she said, you need help now. Because I was underage, because I was under 16, I couldn't be prescribed medication by my GP. I had to be referred on to a psychiatrist. And luckily, I found a very good psychiatrist. Very good. And he's still my psychiatrist today whenever I need him, on the rare occasion. Mm-hmm. He's there. And he diagnosed me originally with depression. And for me, that was such a relief. It was such a relief because I felt like such a burden. I felt like this was my doing, my choice, even though I didn't choose it. It was still me feeling these things. What do I do? And there was this doctor, this professional, that said, this is what you have. These are the potential treatments. Lots of people experience this. It's not just you, but you can target it, you can fight it, and you can get through it. We're going to help you get back to the Adam that you remember. And that was a huge relief. It gave me hope again. It gave me reasons to keep fighting.
Now, one of the things he did that I thought was quite interesting is teenage boys don't talk to their mums anyway, but I can imagine a teenage boy who's depressed certainly doesn't want to communicate. So he suggested that you communicate to your mum by email so you could get things out.
I always kept my promise to mum once we realised what was going on, that she said, Adam, all I want you to do is that if you ever feel like you're going to take your life, tell me and we'll get you help. And I promised her that, and I always kept that promise. And it was good because I could communicate with her and she could communicate with me. So in my moments of clarity, when I wasn't, after I'd let all the anger and sadness out and I could be, on my rare moments of clarity in my head, I could read her love giving back to me. Doctor's appointments, just asking, checking how I was. And that made everything much easier because I could still keep my promise to my mum without having to see or bear witness the pain that it caused.
There's an email in here, and I just want you to read the first, it's really only the first sentence. It's dated the 2nd of May 2006. You're 15 years old. And if you could just read that. This is to your mum.
When I was 15. I hate my life right now, like I can't stand how it is tonight. I wanted to throw myself down the stairs just to avoid another day. My life repeats itself over and over. I hate it. I don't want to go on.
It's really, really hard to imagine what a 15-year-old must be feeling to write something like that and what a mother would feel reading something like that.
That's how I was. They're not edited. It is a snapshot of how bad I was, of how emotional I was. That's why they're so confronting, because that's real. That's what goes on in your head when you are suffering like that. When you're fighting every day to stay alive, when there's no scan for it, there's no blood test. And when you're fighting every day, that's what happens.
You were trialling medications for your depression and it actually led you to be suicidal. Is that right?
For me, the first medication I was on made my suicidal thoughts and ideations so much worse, to the point where I said, I need to get into hospital now.
Because you promised your mum.
I promised my mum. I would always tell my mum, and I needed to. And so that was the side effects of one, and they took me straight off it. But again, it has to take time to get out of your system before you can start the next one. The medication trial went for 2 years, almost 2 years. Wow. A whole range of medications, nothing worked. I even got to a point where I thought self-delusion might work, where I thought, if I tell myself I'm okay, I tell my doctors I'm okay, I tell everyone around me that I'm okay and feeling better, I'll just feel better. Because people were telling me, oh, just think positively, as if I'm which made me feel guilty, as if maybe this is
that easy.
Am I this stupid? Is this my fault? And it wasn't my fault. That didn't last. I lost entire hope. I needed something more than medication. I was quite literally at a do or die point.
And that's when your parents booked you into like a clinic?
I was admitted to a private hospital because we felt
you needed care.
I needed care
around the clock. Yeah,
I really did. I ended up having 2 bouts in a private clinic. The first one was to try a new medication, which seemed to be okay in a hospital setting, and as soon as I went back home, it stopped working very, very fast. And then a few months later, when nothing else had worked, was my second time I went to hospital, and this time it was for ECT.
Now, you say ECT, electric shock therapy. I thought that was a thing that went out in the dark ages. I didn't know that they did it anymore. I thought it was something out of a movie. Yeah. So why would, explain it to me. I can't imagine the extreme of it.
I'm not a doctor, but I know for me, they always start on the smallest bandwidth, the smallest shock. And if that's not responsive, they increase it. And obviously the more increases it, the more detrimental it can be to the memory, and the side effects get worse. It wasn't a decision made lightly, but it was a decision that had to be made. You know, I had it 3 times a week for 2 months.
3 times a week? I can't even comprehend this.
It's interesting because all the adverse side effects that came with medication, the ECT was probably the easiest out of all of them. Like that's the ironic thing of it all. After those 2 months, it affected my memory.
Yeah, that's one of the major side effects, is it can wipe your memory.
Fortunately, the small amount was working, the unilateral brief on one side, and that worked really well. And
So is it like, I don't know, is it like Control-Alt-Delete on the computer? A bit of a reset? Or what does it feel like? How did you know that it worked?
I started to feel good. I started to feel good. It was this...
Paintings became white and blue again.
Well, things... I just felt good. Wow. I could cross the road. I could, without wishing a car would come speeding past. I felt good. I could smile. They had a gym at the hospital I was staying at. And I, on my own accord, I've got the energy to do this. I want to do this. That hadn't happened. I couldn't get out of bed some days. For me to want to do this, to have the energy to exercise, to not feel I had to wear a mask, that I could smile, I could laugh again. And it was genuine. It wasn't because I was meant to be laughing. I wanted to laugh.
It wasn't the mask.
It wasn't the mask. The mask wasn't needed anymore. And this worked. That for me, this is working. This is working really well. ECT isn't what maintains my life. It saved my life, but it isn't what maintains it. What maintains it, after that year, 2 years after I had it, the reasons why I haven't needed any more treatments, why I haven't needed any medication since, is because I spent those next few years learning and understanding myself, what I'd gone through, and so it would never ever happen again.
Explain that to me.
I did a lot of things. I started exercising. That was a huge thing for me. That became my school. I'd wake up in the morning and I'd go to the gym. And not just the gym, but I was also seeing my psychologist once a week, because there was still a lot of issues I needed to process. The mind gym. Just as important as the physical gym. You know, if going to the physical gym affects my mind, going to the mind gym has got to affect my body.
Absolutely.
And that's been a huge part of my recovery and what maintains my health today. Finding a good psychologist, that's what's made me make some of the greatest breakthroughs and has allowed me to be as well and as happy as I am now. As great as the gym was, it really was. I lost over 35 kilos. As great as that was, seeing my psychologist is really what's allowed me to be happy.
Please don't see this as an ignorant or a rude question.
Not at all.
Is it dangerous that you're not on medication? Like, is it something that you should be as a just in case? Or I don't know. I know it's horses for courses.
Of course. I had to learn what worked for me, and I'm good now. And I know within myself that if I ever start going down that path again, I know where the support is. I have the tools to get through it. And if those tools don't work, I know which hospital I need to go to. And as scary as
You've always got your promise to your mum.
I've always got my promise to my mum, and I keep my promise to my mum. And even when I'm not suicidal, because I'm not suicidal, you know, if I'm having a bad day, I just let her know. I just need my space.
Yeah.
And I'm fine, and I work through it. You know, everyone has their days. I still have my days.
If you had to give some advice to young people, so not adults, young people who might be having some of these feelings or diagnosed or undiagnosed, what would you say?
Keep fighting. You have to keep fighting. There will be days where you lose, I know what it is, you lose hope. Every life has value. And there are I can tell you now, there are no one out there that's really going to get what you're going through. Unless you've experienced it, you're not ever going to be able to get it. And so you need to have that strength within you to know that there is hope and there is help out there. There's so much help out there. There's so many resources. As scary as it might be to come out because of fear of being judged or ridiculed or labelled, the path that you'll go through, unspoken, without help, is so much scarier and so much harder than any path you'll go down with the support you get from asking for help. Everyone deserves help. If we break our leg, we're happy to ask for help. Why are we not? We need to be equally okay and equally open and ready to ask for help when we're suffering emotionally. Why I wrote this book was because I know how lucky I am to be as well as I am getting through this. This is a great way to start a conversation.
Yeah.
These conversations need to happen. And it's an easy book. It's an easy book to read. A hard topic. You'll probably need some tissues at some point.
I did.
But it's a necessary book. We have a social and a moral responsibility to understand this.
Yeah.
Because it will affect all of us. Either we will suffer individually or someone we very much love and care for will suffer. And this needs to be spoken about.
So how are you now?
I'm in a place now that I never thought I'd be in. And I now know in my life now, whenever I get sick, if I start getting a cold or a sore throat, I don't go to my doctor to get antibiotics. I go see my psychologist because I know that my mind is directly related to my body. And I don't ever want to leave anything suppressed because I know the longer I leave it, the sicker I get.
Bad shit happens.
Bad shit happens.
Yeah.
It started off as a sore throat, and when I didn't acknowledge what was going on, I lost the ability to walk. And I'm not ever going to let that happen again. What keeps me up now at night is how I'm going to answer my uni assignments. How I'm going to ask the girl I've got a crush out on. That's what keeps me up at night.
I am so proud of you. I haven't ever met you before, but I'm so proud of you. I feel like I know you because I've read the book. I think this is going to help a lot of people. So thank you. Thank you for fighting. Thank you for pushing through. Thank you to your mum and your family.
Yes.
And all the best. I am really impressed and I can't wait to see what you achieve.
Thank you. You've got the voice that can reach millions of people.
Well, I need a hug.